Izibongo zokhozi FM olumaphikophiko. Isibhabhanyone esishama phiko phezulu kweGolnetheku. Inyoni endizele emafini kumkhathi wajama zonke izizwe zakhothama. Ukhozi onjengengudude phakuzisa amaphiko kwaqovumula izulu. Sizwile iqewula ngezulu kaK Masinga phansi eintabeni zasebhodwe. Yaphinde yabubula ngezulu kaBhodloza Nzimande elingenamkhawulo. Ishashalazi zeligida amatshitshi namajongosi. Lagida oLady D, lagida oDithi Ngwenya. Laphinde lagiya amaciko agiya ngombhobho njengesifili. Ngisho izingcwethi ogcabale mbathathu manyathela. No Kansas City mchunu umfana omuhle nabonke abafana bakhona emhlabeni. Ndizanyone emaphiko-phiko. Ndizanyone yesizwe ujubalale umhlaba wonke. Izibongo zokhozi FM sizibhalelwe umini yakhuba imbongikazi.
Ngibingelela umlaleli wokhozi FM. Igama lami uSbongi Ngcobo. Namhlanje sila Nelson Mandela Foundation. Sizokhuluma nobaba uSello Hatang. Utata. Hatang, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. Today is quite a significant day for you guys as NMF. Please tell us a bit more about what today represents, what your plans are for the day.
I think for us today, it's significant because it's a reminder that Madiba transitioned today, but that he lives forever. That we have an obligation to grow his legacy. That it's a legacy that should be kind of enjoyed by all, including those who are still to be born. In other words, it needs to outlive all of us. It's like a tree that the one who plants it is not necessarily the one who will enjoy the shade, but the shade will be enjoyed by those who are still to be born. And hopefully that's what today means to many South Africans and people around the world.
And tell me about keeping such a massive legacy alive. I mean, that must be a mammoth task for the foundation.
It's a big one, and one that we don't take for granted, because part of the work that we have to do is to ensure that we respond to the call of justice. Madiba always advocated for us to try play our part without making it a do-gooding exercise, but rather it should be always about responding to a call of justice. And what does that call of justice mean? It means that we must build a country and an organization that looks after those who are vulnerable, the poor, those who democracy tends to leave behind, the ones who feel discarded by democracy and systems of governance. That they thought that with democracy, this was going to be a picture that they're going to have of their lives being changed and their children's lives being changed. And those that still feel that nothing has changed, or a lot still needs to be done. So that's why this legacy is so heavy to then try keep together. So, but one does it with a sense of humility, that you given this responsibility as an institution and as an individual to try and build this legacy and look after it, care for it, in a way that it can then again serve the others who are still coming.
And I mean, this is a legacy that you guys have successfully kept alive, and Umadiba still lives on in our hearts. And I mean, just to go into something maybe a bit more sensitive, when with huge events in the world, things like 9/11, things, something like we all remember where we were, what we were doing. Do you remember where you were on the 5th of December 20?
Sure. Yeah, actually I was here in Johannesburg, and I received a call to say Madiba transitioned, and that we had to come back to the office. And so the one thing that stands out is that I got a ticket for going through. It's alleged that I drove fast. So because I had to then come to the office, and we then got the process going on how we're gonna remember Madiba's moment. And it ended up being announced by the president it was going to be a 10-day process that we all had to then observe. And immediately we kicked into gear. How will people then remember Madiba through us, with us, being a home for to be an extension to the family and family of organizations that he established. we worked with the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund and Mandela Rhodes Foundation to ensure that this moment was all about legacy and also helping the nation mourn Madiba and the international community access records, because we ended up being the hub for some of the archive that the media needed to report on and to use. So we kicked into gear to doing that kind of work of being the source of information.
Talk to us a bit about your personal relationship with Madiba. I know you worked with him for quite a number of years. Tell us about some of your fond memories, some of the educational moments that you had with him.
Sure. In fact, the last time I hosted Madiba in this building was in this room. So I went to get him from the office, and he was gonna be seeing the US soccer team and Bafana. So they were all in here, and I went to get him from the office and explain to him who was here, some of the people he was gonna see. And walked slowly in here with his bodyguard holding him to then come in and sit down, and we had that moment. And as we walked back to the car, Madiba was joyous that day, and we walked to the car. Little did I know that would be the last time Madiba would be in the car, because a couple of weeks later, then his health started deteriorating. The last time I saw him alive in the cage was when in 2012, my colleague Sam Fender and I had edited a book on his quotes, and I got a call to say I should rush to the office, to the house rather. I should rush to the house, and I thought Madiba had passed on, because the caller said, who was Madiba's daughter, said, no, whatever you're doing, drop it and just come over now. So got in the car, drove here, and as the door opened, Madiba was sitting there. So sense of relief.
I can imagine.
It was there, but it was to congratulate us on the book that we had edited. And he kept on wondering, did I say all these things? And he said, yeah, you said them all. And then he dozed off, and while he was dozing, and then we bid them farewell and went back to my garden. So in the couple of years that I spent with Madiba, I think the most memorable was how his sense of humility, and he would make you feel like you are the only one who matters at that moment. When I was introduced to him in 2008, he started asking me where I was born, so I told him my place of birth, and then he remembered to say, oh, actually I've been there. I came to your stadium. I might have even seen you. Wow, that makes you feel. I walked out of the office feeling like I owned the world, only for one of my colleagues to then just pop that bubble and say, no, dude, he does that with everyone. So you are not unique. And I then saw it, because every time we were hosting people, how he would react. Not only would he introduce himself, can you imagine Nelson Mandela standing up and introducing himself? Not only would he do that, but he would then crack a joke or two for you to relax in order for you to have a meeting that was meaningful to. In fact, this room, one last story I want to tell is one of the quotes that has been used today was Madiba saying, "Don't call me, I'll call you." It was here.
Okay.
He was sitting right where you're sitting there now, where he then made the announcement to say he was retiring. So this place has those fond memories.
I mean, if I can share some of mine, there were two occasions that I did meet with him, and the first one, I was in standard 7 grade 9, and I was at Utongati, and our school choir was asked to come and sing for him because they had just come down. This was in 95. And yeah, as you said, he walked around and he introduced himself to every single choir member. And the second time was
You were in the choir?
Yes, I was in the choir.
As a singer or as
just like nice scenery from the front row. And the second time was in Groundville. They were building monumenza Chief Albert Lutumbi, and we just heard this voice and there was this presence. You know, how tall he was and all of that. And I just remember that it was just such a special moment, you know what I mean? His presence was just always, you know, something that you felt when he was there, even before he spoke. So, yeah, those were just some of my personal experiences with him. I remember all of us in the choir were like, we're never washing our hands after we shook our hands. So, yeah, look, thank you so much for sharing some of your memories with us. Tell us a bit about today. So what are we doing today and how do we continue every year to commemorate this day?
Yeah, so today we're looking at two key areas. We're looking at vegetable gardens because we're saying to people, in order to deal with the issues of food security, we must take that responsibility as families, as individuals, to grow our own food. Sure. And in fact, one of the things that the team has been working on is ensuring that we started with the young ones, the little ones. When you are in an early childhood development center, you should know that food comes from the ground, not from a fast food restaurant. So that's what we're then trying. The second one is for us to name a park after Madiba in Rivali, here in Johannesburg. And you might be wondering why Rivali. Rivali was one of the sites of struggle as a township. Okay. My predecessor Ahmad Dango was born there. His sister Jessie Duarte was also born in Rivali. So the whole family, the Dango family, was one of those families that were really in the lead in terms of the struggle. But many families in Rivali did. And I think if the park is to do anything, is to remind us of those who came before us and fought for our democracy. So it didn't come for free. It came at a massive price, sometimes with lives lost. So that's the one, the other part. Of course, climate change being another one. For us to plant trees, we'll be planting 1,000 trees today. And we're saying with these trees, these are indigenous trees and fruit trees. We are hoping that each one of us will then do something to make the climate a better place. That we try regain what we've lost in terms of the damage caused by human. But of course, the big one is also what we're doing here in Ukhozi. It's a very important moment for us.
You just reminded me as you were talking about, you know, naming a particular venue and climate change. We had a very successful annual lecture in Durban earlier, a few weeks ago. And tell us about that experience and really, I mean, just your year. For me, what I've read, what I've heard, you've had a very successful year as the NMF, and I know he would be very proud. So firstly, congratulations. Just tell us a bit of the highlights of this year.
Sure. I think that was a biggie, actually, for us to be able to host the Prime Minister of Barbados, who is a global superstar on issues of climate change, the climate crisis that we're facing. She reminds us that it's not just some climate change debate, but actually it's a crisis for many nations. Of course, KZN, which is the home of Ukhozi FM, suffered because of the floods that we had. That's why the significance was to take it there. But we also had our program on early childhood development, where we've been helping rebuild early childhood development centers. One that we launched with the president out in the Eastern Cape was one of many that we did this year. Again, it was one of those moments where we said we need to do more. Then the vegetable gardens, we launched our Mandela Day campaign which the theme says, do what you can with what you have where you are. And with that kind of message, it means that each one of us can do something. And that's what we are hoping to then achieve out of that. And we also had some international programs that we did. There's one with the angels investors out in Turkey. In fact, I'm hosting one of the delegates who was there today from Morocco, who's based in Morocco. So it tells you that Madiba's legacy it transcends nations, but we also happy to be associated with one more documentary that was launched in Greece on the life of George Bezos. And again, it's just to say that it's not always just about Madiba, but it's about his life.
As he always said.
As he always said.
He needed to be singled out.
Yeah.
So I know that there's one was saying when the heavens open up and it rains. I mean, how significant rain is blessing. So it just feels like such a significant moment. It may not be great for your plans for today, but
mind you, the trees will be happy. I'm not sure that my colleagues Mandla, Morong and others will be happy with the rain, but the trees that we're planting will be very happy with the rain. And we are hoping that it will just keep giving us life. As you know that there are many parts of the continent which are struggling now with no rain at all. And whenever we see this rain, I mean, in Kenya, for example, they recently lost 100 elephants because of the drought. And it tells you that we should count every drop that's falling as a very important lesson.
And I mean, how this climate crisis that we're in, for me, it always blows my mind that in one country, I mean, I know that we've got problems in Gqeberha with droughts. Just up the coast in Durban, we have floods. I mean, that just shows just how much of a crisis we are in. So we really should all play our parts and see what we can do. And also get everyone educated around how some of our behaviors are influencing climate change. But you did say that today we also came here just to show you that, as a radio station, because we do value NMF and the partnership that we have with you guys. We hope to continue. And today being a significant day, we thought that we'd come and do a bit of a handover to you. We know that next year will be the 10-year anniversary of Madiba's transitioning, and with us we usually do a calendar, an annual calendar, hugely popular with our listeners. Everyone loves our calendar, so we did add just a little part on the calendar just to show that we will be commemorating 10 years of Madiba transitioning, and we would love to do the handover to you, and hopefully you will hand us out somewhere in the office.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Mr. Hatang, from Ukhozi FM to you and your staff and the office, this is 2023 calendar, Ukhozi FM, and at the top you'll see Ukhozi FM, lubungaza, iminyaka, eyishumi, kwadlula, emhlabeni, owayengumongameli, wokuqala, wentando, yeningi.
Wow, so this is a beauty. Wow.
Yeah, so this is just from us to you, and just to also show that, through the relationship that we've had with you as a foundation, you have become part of us as a station as well.
No, thank you. And clearly, Ukhozi lohamba phambili, because you are the first to unveil anything on the 10th anniversary. Even the Nelson Mandela Foundation is still to launch it. So you hamba phambili in there.
Yes, I know. We tried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Hatang. And we are looking forward to sharing our day with you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for coming all the way from KZN to meet with us.
Yes, thank you.
happy and proud that today Ukhozi FM came to present this calendar. Like I said, that what makes us even more proud is the fact that it's clearly living up to its motto, that Ukhozi luhamba phambili, which is why it's the first one to then unveil its calendar marking the 10th anniversary of Madiba's transitioning into the other world. And our greatest pride is that of the 8 million viewers, listeners of Ukhozi, they would then be remembering Madiba next year. And the moment they see this calendar, it means that they will always be reminded of their obligation, their responsibility, and how they need to then be growing the legacy of Nelson Mandela in their lives and in the lives of their communities.